Obviously, thank you everybody for joining today. The City Clash launch AMA, co-hosted by us, Arbitrum. I am Hunter, the community manager over here at Arbitrum. Anything related to DeFi NFTs and on-chain, I try to master around here. And City Clash, of course, is one of the dApps launching on Arbitrum, P2E social kind of coordination game, involving NFTs, factions, and all that great stuff. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm joined by Drew, a co-founder of City Clash. Drew, how's everything going?
Things are going well. Excited to be here. Thanks much for having us and all the work that you've done behind the scenes to the other NFT projects on Arbitrum.
Of course. I always like to say that while the work we do here obviously is awesome, especially shout outs to the engineers who make the magic happen. It's also you know in part due to the amazing projects that are built on the chain. So that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation today. But before we do actually get into City Clash, how it works, maybe getting into the kind of gamification of it. Can we just get a little bit about your background and kind of what brought you into crypto in the first place, and maybe what you were doing beforehand?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as Hunter introduced, I'm Drew. I'm one of the co-founders of City Clash. I'm working alongside Noah. We are the main team behind City Clash. We are real life friends. We met in college. We were actually college roommates. Since then, we have exited, built and sold multiple companies, some together and then some separately. Um, our most recent project together was sold back in 2019. That was an order ahead app for coffee shops, so very much Web 2. Since then, Noah went the bootstrap SaaS route, and I went very much the data trading route, doing algo trading consulting. And I've been into crypto a long time. I had this really smart kid in one of my math classes in high school that was a drug dealer. And I, frankly, to be honest, had no idea that was true at that time. But that meant that he knew what Bitcoin was and what was going on with Bitcoin and the Silk Road. And he just was in my ear. And he just said, you know what, just get a couple of these. And this kid was really smart, I thought. And so I did, and I wish I could say that that made me rich, but I paper handed, bought some Bitcoin at $14 and sold it $75, and I thought I crushed it. That was my first taste of crypto, and then there was kind of a long crypto winter, both for everybody, but for me too. Dove back in, especially into Ethereum in 2017, and being interested in the software side of things, but then the finance side, that intersection, how those things fit together, and then just seeing the potential for crypto to take over the world was so huge, so evident to me. And so I've been in this space since then. Noah has been into crypto since 2019. Kind of dove into NFTs. Was really just interested and in what was going on, and kind of then came to me and said, "Hey, we should try this. We should do this together." And so we took the skills that we've built in Web 2 and brought them to Web 3, and we worked together to try to figure out how do we build an NFT project the right way. There were a lot of things that were really, frankly, discouraging that we were seeing in the NFT space. Projects weren't really decentralized. That baffled us. Um, Founders weren't doxxed, which I guess is okay sometimes. We're really proud of being doxxed. We think that's a really useful thing, but there was just no credibility for founders, which was discouraging. And then there was this whole roadmap meta where everything was just sold on promises that may or may not come true, and most often didn't come true. And so we set out to build a project that was kind of in the face of all those things. And then lastly, we set out to build a project that was novel. If the NFT world likes anything, it's novelty. And so we're really proud of a few novel mechanics we've put in the City Clash that we haven't seen other places. So that's the really high level on Noah and I and how we kind of got going.
It's pretty cool to hear, like a story like that. Yeah, because like there are tons of everyone has their own story, kind of getting into crypto, DeFi, NFTs, blockchain, whatever you want to call it, frankly. But I feel like most people who end up starting with like Bitcoin or Ethereum, like wait, 5 years ago, 2017, I feel like a lot of those people tend to stay DeFi. But I guess kind of with you guys, you were kind of able to not only kind of adapt with each different, like I guess you could say meta in crypto, but you kind of just decided to kind of put them all in one with City Clash. Would that be kind of, does that sound kind of accurate?
And I have to give a lot of the credit there to Noah. He is just super curious, always staying up to date, what's going on. He loves just figuring out what the next thing is. And if he hadn't come to me and said, "Let's go build an NFT project," I was pretty content in DeFi and building in that space, and I would never have really explored and dove in as deeply as I obviously have now. And so, really thankful for him for lots of reasons, but that was certainly one of them. Just what you're saying, keeping up, moving on to the next wave, and being curious. And so, speaking of next wave, obviously Arbitrum is the next wave, and we're so excited to be a part of this world.
LFG, let's go. Yeah, dude. So so that being said, let's hear about City Clash. Can you guys kind of give us a brief explainer of what City Clash is for people who may not know?
So, City Clash is a social strategy game that's built on top of 3,000 city NFTs. So, each of those NFTs is based on a real world city. So, all the 3,000 biggest cities, basically, all the cities that you guys know and love. And each city has a point value that is based on real world data. So, Tokyo is the largest city, and that's 30 points. And there's a whole lot of cities that are just 1 point and then everything in between. And then probably our primary mechanic is that we have split our community into three factions. Those three factions are perpetually at odds with each other, trying to take over the world. And so factions take over the world by capturing countries, and factions can capture countries by controlling the most points within a country. When a faction controls the most points in a country, they are credited all of the points for a country, and a country is worth the number of points that are worth the sum of the points of their cities. So, if the U.S. happened to have 100 cities that were each worth 10 points, the U.S. would be 1,000 points, and the faction that controlled the most points in the U.S. would be credited all 1,000 of those points. And so that could run on just forever. It could ever just keep running. And so we have divided things up into weekly battles. So at the end of each week, at an announced time, it'll be a set time every week. There will be a snapshot taken, and that snapshot will see what faction was in the lead. Then we'll look at all of the members of that faction who are holding NFTs, and they will be entered into a weighted raffle at the end of each week. And that weighted raffle will be based on their holdings. So holding more cities is better, holding bigger cities is better, and then also just their activity level that week. Have they been trading NFTs that week? And so just to clarify a point here, every action actually in the game is on the blockchain. It's all trading the NFTs. So the real like playing, the fun is all in strategizing with your faction, figuring out what to control, what cities to take, what cities that you're holding on to that maybe you don't need to be, that you should go sell to buy something better. But then all actual in-game actions are on chain. It's just the buying and selling and then trading of NFTs. So then that weighted raffle, we make a really controversial decision that we stand by firmly, but we choose instead, like most projects, or most P2E projects, of giving a medium number of people a small amount of money. Instead, we've decided to give one to maybe a few, 1 to 3 people a lot more money each week. And so there's a little bit of a degen play that's part of this. But just to wrap up the making money piece, in order to earn, your faction has to be winning. That has to win that given week to enter that weighted raffle. So that's the really high level. Glad to answer any specific questions or go into more details on any of those areas.
So many questions. Where do I start? Let me think. Okay, so just to clarify a little bit on like the NFT portion and the factions. So when you have an NFT, when you have an NFT in City Clash, does that represent your ownership in the faction, and the NFT itself is a city? Is that correct?
NFTs are cities. Users' addresses, Ethereum addresses, are included in a faction. So factions are comprised of addresses, and so by you controlling a city, you are contributing that city to your faction. You're helping your faction take over the country that that city is in.
And
We're
when we
asking.
say, oh, sorry, go. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally exactly that. And then I think on top of what you mentioned earlier, then in terms of like the kind of the P2E mechanic there. When you say earn, like, are people earning like at the top, like 2 to 3 people that you mentioned that are most likely going to win out the most? Are they earning in tokens? Are they earning in NFTs? Or like, how's that measured?
To clarify something very important, it is there is heavy weighting for the bigger holders, the more active people, but it's not the same people every week. It's going to be just a new random raffle each week. And so, what is being raffled off is your question, which is kind of a super important one. So the funds that are raffled each week come from two sources. So we're really excited. We've designed a game that relies on emissions, primarily a magic emissions for now, to remain net positive for our holders, even after we are able to make a little bit of profit. Um, and so our though that raffle pool comes from two places. First, 75% of mint proceeds are going straight into a treasury, and that treasury will be deposited into a yield farm. And so we are partnered with Battlefly's Flywheel program. We're going to utilize them. We're also initially going to utilize the Sushi Swap ETH Magic LP pool. The yield there is still higher than Flywheel for now. Magic is subsidized, or Treasure is subsidizing that pretty heavily, and so we're going to make the most of that for as long as we can, and then move over to Flywheel. So the yield on that will generate about half of what we give away in the raffle each week. And then we are a paid mint, but we're actually going to charge higher royalties than most paid mints, more akin to a free mint project. And that's not for us to get rich. We're going to take the same small percentage that we would take anyway. But we're going to put a significant amount of royalties straight into that pool for raffle winners each week. So those are the two sources of funding. Those tokens will be paid out in some combination of ETH and or Magic.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's like what really interests me about this game so much is because like it's very how do you say? Actually, it's kind of how we describe it, right? It's very socially coordinated. So, I guess another question there would be, is there a limit to how many people can be in one of these three factions? Or I guess it's probably limited by the amount of cities then, I would assume, right?
Are absolutely the ceiling, but something that your question is touching on is is balance, and that's really important for City Clash. And so I'll just talk briefly on that. We've thought long and hard about that. Up front, we balance the factions by we've built this kind of cool Discord bot we haven't seen anywhere else that is distributing new Discord members into the different factions. So it's distributing people automatically into the smallest faction unless you're invited directly into a faction by a friend. So we've set this bot up. You can directly send invite links if you're on the red team to all your NFT buddies to make sure that you guys all get to play together. So that's a source of imbalance when you can invite friends, but then that rebalances by applying the random people to the smallest factions. So all of our company, the City Clash official tweets and posts and everything on our site leads people to that generic link, and then friends invite to their faction specific links. And then after the mint, new holders who haven't been assigned to a faction yet will automatically be added to the losing faction so that the losing faction is perpetually boosted. And all like everything else about City Clash, all of that data is on chain. So faction data, addresses, that's all on chain information.
Awesome. And then I think what's at least to me what makes this also very interesting is obviously not only that this is very heavily kind of reliant on social coordination, but also the integrations that you guys make. Now you already mentioned that you're planning on having integrations with obviously Treasure, Trove, I presume, Sushi. Like how are you able to go a little more into detail about how some of those integrations work? You don't have to explain Battlefly and whatnot again. You already explained it, but like Trove, for example, I know you guys are being listed there.
Really excited to be Trove launch partners. We're glad for what Treasure is doing for the whole Arbitrum NFT ecosystem and really just for the NFT ecosystem as a whole. And so we are excited to work with them. And so Noah and I kind of had to make a pivotal decision. Do we want to really integrate deeply into the Magic ecosystem and try to fit the lore and fit into Bridge World and just integrate deeply with all these other projects? Does that fit well the game that we're trying to build, or not? And so we made the decision to pursue Trove instead of Treasure. Trove will be denominated in ETH, obviously, instead, and it doesn't require that deep level of integration. It's a better fit for projects that stand on their own really well. And there's nothing like what we've built on Arbitrum. This is it just stands for itself. And so we're really excited. We've talked with lots of projects like Realm, Smollups to figure out easy ways to integrate. Our contract is set up to allow us to whitelist other contracts that allow that can boost cities based on burning NFTs, things like that. We've certainly kept our options open there, but we don't have any plans that we have to go and integrate with other projects. As I kind of bash the roadmap only thing early, we're really proud that we're going to be just running. We're set. When we launch, the game will just start. And so we're in this unique position in the NFT space where instead of having this roadmap, this carrot that we have been dangling, um, we're done. And so we just get to sit and listen to our users and go build exactly what they say, whatever they want. If they want us to go integrate with Realm, that's easy, perfect. We can go do that. Um, in terms of, so I guess to finish up the Trove thread here, we are also really excited to be able to launch on June 13th, on the day that Trove launches. We definitely have concerns about a liquidity shock that's going to come to the Arbitrum NFT space with all of these projects launching on Trove. And so we can't overstate how important it is that we get to launch on day one. And we're thankful to Trove for allowing us to do that. And we're confident that they chose us to be a part of that only because they know just how ready we are. Let's see, you mentioned the Battlefly, the Flywheel partnership. Um, and then I think the last big one, I can't talk a ton about, but we are partnered with Chainlink. Chainlink's not even officially on Arbitrum yet, but they're coming, and we are going to be kind of a flagship NFT project on Chainlink. They are really excited about how we're able to use their Keepers technology. Um, and not a lot of projects have utilized that. So we're kind of a great showcase for that. We're not going to get the boost of co-marketing prior to our mint, and that's totally okay. We're just seeing that as this massive boost that we're excited about sometime whenever they're ready. I know they're aiming to be here soon. So those are the biggest partnerships that we have, and a little bit about each.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. And I remember you guys announcing that a little while earlier, and I was like thinking, I'm like, wait, I thought Chainlink was already on, like the oracles and stuff. But yeah, it's the keeper, it's the keepers that are coming from Chainlink, right? That should be really exciting as well. But I think actually, so you talked about obviously like how like you're kind of against the whole kind of roadmap thing and really just kind of like just building and shipping. I guess is kind of the motto you guys have. That being said, so on launch day, pretty much everything is going to be live, like from day one, or is that am I missing something there?
That's almost entirely true. We have a few small things on our roadmap that are things that we are almost sure that everybody's going to want. But on mint day, I mean, factions are live. All that data is on chain. The game will start. Mint, the end of mint week, will somebody will get paid for the first time. Just the only exception I've pushed hard for decentralization. The only exception to that early on is just as we wait for Chainlink keepers, there will be a centralized aspect to our raffles and our giveaways, but we're going to make them all provably random. We're going to be really transparent through that process, and then we're really excited for keepers to come. We already have our contract all written and ready, and keepers will manage that entirely on chain for us, so it can be totally transparent in perpetuity.
So, how important do you think, and really just asking for your thoughts here, like how important do you think decentralization and mainly decentralization actually is to like P to E gaming? Because like obviously the gaming has been a pretty big, I think, pusher in terms of NFTs and especially like new blockchains like Arbitrum, um, to kind of like in terms of use cases. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that I obviously have put my money where my mouth is. I think it's really important. We're building something. We've gone through a lot of hoops and hurdles to make something that's very decentralized. Um, I think that we have seen lots of centralized games for a long time, lots of Web 2 games for a long time, accomplish some crazy things. And I think that actual ownership of in-game assets, provable ownership of in-game assets, is just going to be a catalyst for ideas that haven't been doable before, because of the trust, the expectation of trust, or the reliance on a third party, that can censor, that can control, that can whatever. I think it's just going to create an explosion in gaming, because of decentralization. And so I really like, there's a layer one project, Project Five. They're a little under the radar. I really like their model. They have this centralized, decentralized model where the users, where everything is decentralized by default, and then centralization is opt in if they want to get out of fees. And so I really love the model of giving users choice. Um, Whatever assets they see as valuable enough that they want total wallet control over, I think that's wonderful. And so with City Clash, we don't have any need for that. We're just purely decentralized. Our assets are the cities themselves. The cities are the most valuable part of the game, the core part of the game. And so we've gone entirely decentralized, to give our users control of this little share of the ability to earn in perpetuity. We think that's so compelling.
Definitely agree there. I mean, it's funny because I think as time has gone on, the term NFT and what it means has changed just a little bit, especially with the whole idea that obviously now we're kind of going towards this multi-chain future, and the whole point of an NFT is for it to be immutable. But I think what people don't sometimes kind of forget is that your NFT is only as immutable as the infrastructure backing it, including the chain where the data is hosted and all that stuff. So uh, you know, that's why, like, when for example, like, even like us as Arbitrum, when we go to these conferences and we speak to different, projects, teams, or whatever that are planning on launching on different chains and whatnot, one of the first questions, like, at least like, that comes out of my mouth is, you know, which chain are you guys using, and have you thought about, like the infrastructure backing it, right? Because frankly, you could launch an NFT on any type of blockchain. I'm sure AWS supports NFTs too, right? But that doesn't mean that you should put it on there at the end of the day, because frankly, that's nothing more than just a picture, you know.
I know. I remember my first NFT project that I bought into, got fudded pretty quickly. It was announced that somebody found their metadata was on GoDaddy, and that's just
Oh
what a
boy.
joke. And what you're saying is like one step better than that, putting it on your AWS blockchain. But obviously that's so important.
So before we do actually go into any community questions here, um, I did want to just ask one last question. So currently, there is a what's it called, an NFT collection, City Clash Towers, are already trading on Arbitrum. How does that kind of compare to what's being launched on the 13th? And are those just the cities? Or is it a different collection entirely?
And thanks for bringing towers into the conversation. So when we set out building in November, and we were ready for about a March or early April launch. We had everything we needed built basically, and so then we decided to make this big switch to Arbitrum. It was just a wonderful fit. We became Trove partners, and with that though, we became reliant on Trove's launch schedule rather than controlling our own destiny there. And so quickly we realized, wow, we have months with this existing community that we have. We get to grow this community for months, but we also have to keep people's interest for those months. And then we also saw throughout the process of building from November to March just how invaluable the earliest community members are. That people who are jumping in a project with less than 500 people in their Discord, those are the real MVPs that are just buying into to founders or ideas rather than buying into hype. And so we wanted to figure out an awesome way to reward those people. And then we also just took the opportunity to add another layer of strategy on to City Clash, the main game that's coming out here in June. And so that came City Clash Towers. So Towers is a collection. It started as 3,000 single story building NFTs. So just really simple art, just a building. The number of floors is made clear just by how many rows of windows there are on your building. Well, you can take multiple buildings and merge them together, and the number of floors just add. And so it's this deflationary towers collection that allows our holders to build bigger and bigger towers. Now, those towers will be burnable in City Clash the game. So you'll be able to burn a tower into a city to boost a city. And the boost that that city will receive is proportional to the height of the tower. And so we set a limit at 100 floors. And so I know of at least three 100-story towers that have been built already, which means that 99 other towers got burned to make that one big tower. And right now we're sitting, I think, between 1.8 and 1.9. Yeah, 1,800 and 1,900 towers remain. And we expect a ton more to get burned into cities once cities launch. So Towers is a deflationary NFT collection that gives boosts to the cities to come.
I also actually just pinned a tweet from Stratos where the tower's actually trading at. If you want to go ahead and check them out, you can click on the link in the Twitter space. But that's crazy. Yeah, I'm looking at the the 100-story tower. I'd be afraid to live in that. Look at how many windows are there. That's crazy.
It was a fun problem to solve. Like how big should we make towers and how much boost should we give to these early adopters, basically. And so prices have gone up a lot, which we think is pretty cool. People are actually seeing the vision, but these towers really do give big boosts in City Clash. And so if City Clash is going to grow and be a huge success, towers are absolutely going to be a valuable strategy tool, a valuable piece to be holding and being able to boost your favorite city. Maybe you want to put your hometown on the map, or maybe there's going to be a pivotal city to win a country come a Friday afternoon and take the battle down for your faction. That's how towers fits in.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you for that, Drew. Guess with that being said, we can kind of move on to any community questions. If people want to go ahead and raise their hand, I'd be happy to bring them up. Um, let's give people a little bit just in case. Also, if you wanted to add anything, Drew, if I missed anything, feel free to kind of, bring whatever it is up.
To see what questions come up. Um, and while we're waiting for those questions, I think another thing that we're really excited about is just seeing what strategies that the factions are going to come up with. We've thought a lot about what would be the best strategy. We've thought about what strategies would maybe break the game and how do we fix those, make sure those aren't actually a problem. And so the thing that I am most excited for when City Clash actually launches here June 13th is to see what you guys come up with. How your faction just totally pulls the rug out from one of the other factions to take over a country that nobody expected and win that week. I can't wait to see the social coordination. I fully expect like governance, some form of governance to come up within factions. Just looking forward to how factions make sure that the best ideas rise to the top. Um, so that social coordination part is what we're most excited about. I guess the last thing I'll share then while we wait a little bit, if any other questions come, is we're also really proud that our NFTs are just totally dynamic. So factions are represented by colors, and each NFT has a city and a country background that that city's in, and both the city and the country colors are changing in real time as control of those countries or cities change. So if you're on the red faction and red takes over Japan from the green faction, and there's 100 cities in Japan, all 100 of those NFTs are going to go and change color on the Trove Marketplace, visually representing that. And then the same will happen on our big game map on our website, where that'll kind of be like the game board. We think of it a little bit like a board game, a little bit like Risk. That'll be the board you can go in and see what countries are up for grabs. How is our faction doing in this country? What cities do we have that aren't really helping us? So that's I guess how the art piece comes in a little bit.
I think it would actually be really cool, and maybe you guys have this planned already, but um, like being able to see like the past history of like dominance within a country, like over time, or within a city, I guess, over time, or actually even a country too, So like you could kind of like maybe like I don't know, pick a point in time or pick a day or whatever it is, and maybe like like it'll tell you exactly like which faction owned that city, which faction owned that city, and any other stats that goes along with it. That'd be kind of interesting.
We see it's almost like writing a history book, right? When are the transfers of power in the history book? What is who has taken over when? How has dominance waxed and waned within factions and within countries? That's definitely interesting.
I think the other thing that I was going to bring up earlier was as well, in potentially, partnering and collabing with different projects within the ecosystem. Uh, is there like any type of possibility where there would be maybe I don't know, like a bonus faction, or like an extra faction, within a limited time that represents a certain community. Like for example, maybe there's like a smallest flag faction. It's like a yellow color. You know what I mean? So like you're kind of like external kind of people coming in.
We're definitely open to things like that. We've thought about mobilizing entire other communities, kind of like you're saying. We've actually worked with a few communities to just let the entire community join in on a single faction, and then we've had some of that happen without our control, just by community leaders sharing only their faction's link. But there's absolutely room for a whole other project coming in on their own faction, things like that. Alpha groups coming in all on the green faction. We've definitely been wide open to that, and I think that's a lot more fun when you get to just play with your whole big group of friends and kind of pit. Well, how does the lazy lions do against the smalls? Um, that's something we love to see too.
That is true, and I guess that technically doesn't have, on the topic of lazy lions, I guess it doesn't really technically need to be limited to only what do you call it, collections on Arbitrum, technically, right? Like you could pull, you know, communities from Ethereum, for example, if they wanted to contribute and kind of involve them there, right?
We've done claim waves already with the smalls, but now our kind of marketing master plan the whole time has been there's this amazing NFT community on Arbitrum, and so let's leverage that as best as we can. Let's grow with that community. And then once we do that, Arbitrum NFTs are not going to thrive if it's just the same group of people just cycling money in between. So we absolutely are so reliant on layer one adoption. And City Clash wants to be a big part of that. And so now we're going out. We have claim waves scheduled with, or whitelist claim waves scheduled with Rue Troop and with Lazy Lions that are both notable layer one projects. And we want to just be advocates and a force to bringing L1 NFT communities onto L2. We think that's just so vital. So
Awesome. Well, looks like we have Eric requesting to come up. See if I can bring on Eric here. Eric, how do you do?
Hello. I have a question that Minas has posted in the Discord. He said he can't bring his mic on right now, but I just wanted to pass this question on for Drew. And the question is, if you burn your tower into the city to boost it and then sell the city, will the tower move with the city NFT? Will it be lost or will it come back to you? Or what exactly is going to happen if you sell an a city that has a tower in it?
So once a tower is burned into a city, that boost is there in perpetuity. And so let's say if you get a 2 point boost from burning your tower, the point value on the city NFT is going to change. There'll be a little icon that shows that a tower has been burned in to that city. Only one tower can be burned per city, so users are forced to choose wisely when they actually want to make that burn happen. But that tower is gone forever, and that boosted value remains forever. And so, in theory, you enhance the value of your city, not just in the game, but on the secondary market as well by burning a tower into it.
All right. Eric, I don't know if you had any other questions, but we appreciate you asking.
Yep, nothing else. If anybody else is in the Discord and wants to and can't talk right now, then feel free to just ping me, and I'll ask your question up on the stage if you have one.
Oh, nice. That is very nice. Yeah, well, actually, we can get a couple little bit and then maybe close off there. And again, just for people who may have joined late, we are recording this, so this will be up on. I mean, this is yeah, you can just listen back to it on Twitter, but we'll also be putting it up on YouTube too, for you to watch at your leisure. And I guess actually one thing I guess we could put out there too. If someone is looking to contribute any way, whether it be to like the City Clash game coming up, or even like just in general to the community, what's like the best way of going about doing so?
And thanks for that. We are really excited that, again, as I've highlighted, our tech is basically done, and so early next week we'll be rolling out a version of City Clash on testnet. We think we've built this polished, seamless product, but things come up, and so we're really excited to find those things out next week before our mint. So you are welcome to join our Discord and reach out to me directly if you want to be a part of that test. Obviously, there'll be no money involved, nothing changing hands there. Just making sure that our contracts are good, that our that scores are all handled correctly, that our UI is all good on our site. So we'll be demoing that all early next week. We're in a tough market. Everybody knows that, and so we're definitely just trying to make a final growth push. We're trying to get more eyeballs. We're really proud of what we're building. I've talked personally to dozens of projects and founders, and there are some really good ones, but we're confident we're building something as good as any of these projects. And we have a game that you actually play. It's not just staking and lore. And so helping us just get that information out to people in the 10 or so days we have until launch is huge. So if you're part of an alpha group or part of another NFT project and you want to collab with us, work together, we're all for that. We'd always love feedback on any part of our vision. White paper, we'll be releasing new information almost every day now up until launch. There's just so much to share, so much we're excited about. But that's it. Most importantly, just jump in our Discord, check it out, read the white paper for yourself. If you haven't read the white paper, watch the trailer. We're confident that what we're building is cool, and so the more people know about it, the better things will go.
Awesome. Well, I think on that note, we can probably end it off here. Drew, again, thank you so much for giving us your time today. Teaching us more about City Clash. I'm sure we're all very excited to, conquer our own cities and, make sure our factions are ruling. It sounds really medieval, actually. I really like it.
Thanks again for the opportunity to share. Thanks for all you've done again with Arbitrum and all the support you've given City Clash. We're excited to launch and proud to be on Arbitrum and on Trove.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, you heard the man yourself. Join the Discord, join the Twitter. Make sure to stay up to date about their launch on the 13th. Have a good one, guys.